The Sporland division of Parker Hannifin proudly sponsors the Advanced Refrigeration Podcast. There are a lot of questions surrounding the transition to A2L refrigerants and a lot of talking heads disseminating nebulous answers. But when your technician is face-to-face with the first A2L transition project, where do you turn for real-world answers about this specific job? Parker Sporland's Virtual Engineer is an innovative online design tool to size and select the correct components for climate control and refrigeration applications. Get your A2L system flow and component selection answers in 3 simple steps. Enter your application details, size, and select products, then download your project files. It's that easy. Try it at absolutely no cost. Visit sporlin.com and navigate to the Resource Center. Parker Sporland, leading the charge.
Absolutely horrible. What have you, I don't know.
I've been in the pouring down rain, except for today. We flew back this morning. I've been in the pouring down rain for 3 days straight. Like when I say pouring down rain, raining sideways, weather.
Doing the Forrest Gump thing. We got sideways rain, got big old floppy rain.
Yeah, it was big old floppy rain in Atlanta on a roof. And I'm doing control conversions on rooftop units. And I just did not want to leave. This is actually the first time working out of town that we've hit rain to the point where it's, oh shit, this ain't stopping. So we went and bought a tent, and then halfway through the tent, I realized that half the units are on curb adapters and they're 8 feet in the air. And then I just hated my life for the rest of the time because I'm on a 6-foot ladder on a metal roof trying to trim out wires, and it was just not a great time. It was a very unfun time.
It's not fun at all. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Advanced Refrigeration Podcast. Here are the hosts, Brett Wetzel and Kevin Compass. Yeah, but didn't you tell me you did some fun stuff this week?
Yes, you did. But like at the end of this is the first time out of town where there was actually stuff in the hotel parking lot. So there was like high-speed go-karts.
Okay. It's not what I thought you were going to say.
No, it was this. I don't know. The apprentice convinced me to go ride the 60-mile-an-hour go-karts, that's fun.
And you went golfing.
Yeah, we went Top Golf. I don't golf. I'm terrible.
I thought you said you were doing line drives.
I was doing some line drives. They weren't going in a straight line. They were off the side. It was like Happy Gilmore.
Did you do the run up?
Oh yeah, like this is embarrassing. A few beers and you're just like, this is embarrassing.
I would have went axe throwing. Have you done that before?
Yeah, I've done axe throwing. Actually, the golf thing wasn't that bad. It was right in a hotel, or I would have never went. Like it was in the parking lot.
Oh no, I thought you were going to say, oh yeah, we just went to the other side of the hotel and we had golf right on the other. Actually, no. That wouldn't be a half bad idea. No, I mean, if it's near a golf course and you have a lot of people staying there, they golf during the day, they drink, they come back and do some line drives around the back end of the hotel.
For once, it was like a decent like hotel setup where like every time we stay in a hotel, it's usually like the only thing there. Like there was like you literally could walk to food and stuff. It was actually nice for once. Besides the pouring down rain every day. That was awful working in like rain suits and just boots full of water.
This week I'm home. Last week I was in Houston. I was doing some training. We talked about the parallel compression thing. But yeah, we did a lot of work on the rack. Cleaned out all the strainers on that thing. I did my first conversion from the Icad A to the Icad B, which was like
be direct swap over, right?
It is. So I was so concerned because the settings don't line up. You know how it's like I001 or J01 to 59 or 60 or something like that. I wrote down on the settings before we did anything, and I called Yoda. I was like, do you have any paperwork on this? Because I would just want to make sure I had clean. Just run the wizard and you'll be fine. I'm like, but no. He's just run the wizard, you'll be fine. So I did, and I'm glad I wrote down the set points because I read through everything like what it was. The only thing I did screw up that it will blink red if you alarm out on anything. So I told it had a backup power supply because I thought it had a backup power supply. It does for the rack, but it's not tied into the physical input on there because there's actually on that new B. So it has the same 2 4-lead plug and 7-lead M12 plug or M12 plug. The only difference is it had one more extra plug because you can actually communicate via Modbus. But what was really badass about it, like you can connect with your phone and like you could drive the high pressure valve. I could manual into
sweet.
it. Yeah, so if the controller's doing X, let's just say it's doing some stupid shit and you want to get the thing rolling or whatever, and you're trying to get the head pressure down after a high pressure failure, you could you could override and make it do whatever you want. But yeah, so like I enabled it that it had a That's all right. I enabled it that it had a high pressure valve that it had the power supply, and it alarmed out. It said low voltage. I'm like, what do you mean? Because it gives you the voltage on the actual thing of what the valve is getting. I'm like, no, it was supposed to, when you tell it that it has a power supply, it's a dedicated power supply that goes to that other M12 connector. And I didn't have that. So it alarmed. So that was the only thing that I goofed up. But then the operation is smooth, man. It was really easy. If you are going to replace one, I do recommend just writing all your set points down, what they actually are, because it's going to make your swap out a little bit easier. But I was kind of having a little bit of a panic attack. I'm like, Dave, you got stuff? He's like, no, just run the wizard. You'll be fine. And
there's not that many setups. There's not that many set points in there. It's 5 things, 6 things, at least in the old controller.
Yeah, there's 59 different settings, but sometimes some aren't used depending on what it is. Other than that, I've been doing some MT training stuff, trying to finish up this microthermal thing that I'm doing. And
my favorite.
The VPN sucks.
It's bad. It's slow. It's bad.
Yeah, that when I have the controller here at the house and I have it brought up on my computer. Snapshot, go doing what I'm doing, even a lot of remote connect that I have access to. Bam, no, this is just hold on, nope, don't move too fast. I'm trying to scroll through settings. Dude, I was trying to graph different things on there, and I remember being on the actual on the data manager there at the store. I'm like, oh, this ain't too bad. VPN, not so much.
It's so much better on TeamViewer. It's like night and day difference on TeamViewer. It's way faster. The VPN is just not great how that particular customer has it set up, but on TeamViewer it's way faster. But yeah, it's a love-hate relationship with that. It's nice, but go ahead. Sorry.
I got Splash Top, and I had to explain because I put it on the company credit card, and I called Joey. I was like, "This isn't what you think it sounds like." He's like, "What is it?" I'm like, "It's a thing so we could all go into my computer." So some of the guys Splash Top. But no, I was like, some of the guys from South Africa, they don't have the 880 down there. So I basically gave them access to my pack controller and my 880 and all the other controllers that I have in my house. I have a list of all the username passwords in this folder. So once they have the access to Splash Top, they could basically run everything in there. The only thing I did preface, I was like, just don't go through my browser history. That's all we don't want to do. But that kind of leads us into what we're going to talk about today. So I've been messing with Danfoss for the past 18 hours. So there's a couple different versions of the pack controller. The one is strictly an echelon, and then you have, which it can be the 772, the 782A, and then there's those speak echelon, and then the other one is the 782B, which actually has an Ethernet port, and that's where you would hook it up directly. You'd think you'd hook it directly up to the oh my god, Ethernet 0. No, 1, Ethernet 1. That's the one in the center port. Because an 880A has 2 Ethernet ports. The one that's drop dead in the middle, and usually people do this all the time where they think, it's my Ethernet cable, and they plug it right in the middle, and it never works. And that's because that's made for the other stuff that's supposed to attach to it. So there's one port over the left of it that you have to open up the actual cover to get into there. So you'll look here, Ethernet 0 is the one that you have to connect to for the actual for your public network, and Ethernet 1, that's the one that you actually have to connect to your pack controller. So what I was trying to do is I have 2 separate pack controllers. I have one that speaks LAN, one that speaks on that other network. And so when I was talking to Yoder before, I have a huge ass unmanaged switch that has 16 ports, and I was like, all right, well, I'll just connect it up to it and I'll change the IP address and I'll be able to do it. He's no, that doesn't work that way. He's like, you need something that's going to assign different addresses to it. I was like, oh, okay. So I bought that, and then I traveled for 3 weeks, and I got back, and I was like, I'm going to get this done. So actually, I spent yesterday and today wiring all these pack controllers up so I could do what I needed to do. So last night I was fighting with this thing for a while. I'm going to show you guys what I was doing. Like I said, I have all my stuff basically networked in. Here we go. So here's my 880A. Bam. So all I have to do is basically sign in once I put in the IP address, or the other option is I do have Wi-Fi on this thing, and I could basically go down to my Wi-Fi, and then it's not coming up, my home Wi-Fi, but basically I could go into my home Wi-Fi and I'll be able to bring up all my controllers in that. So unfortunately with the 880, you can graph stuff if the graphing was already logged through the pack controller, but a lot of times it's really easy just to go through a smart tool, service tool, and do it that way. So in configuration and networks, sorry, I always forget the way the menus actually work. There you go. So this is what happens. So like when I plugged in the pack controller to the gateway, essentially because it's on automatic, and so it gave it a dynamic IP address. So it gave this as a 10.0.0.2, and then it actually so this right here is my address for this controller right here. This is on my home network. So that's Ethernet 1. No, I'm sorry. Ethernet 0 is my home stuff, and then Ethernet 1 is actually the one that's the center port there. So once I had that all running, then I could actually go to network nodes and then let's go to ComStat. Com status. So you can see if you have if you have a 782 that's connected up this way, you have to have the address at 11. You can't do 1 or 0 through 10. There's actually a document why, but I didn't read it. All I do know is that you can't make it a 0 through 10. It has to be 11. There is a reason for it. I'm not going to bore you guys with reading it. If you go to the Danfoss website, you'll be able to find all that information.
Hey, but one thing I wanted to say, Brett, like when you set that IP address and that subnet for that Ethernet 1, there's that initialize button up there.
Yeah.
If you don't push that, it will not work right 80% of the time.
Correct. And sometimes Danfoss being Danfoss, sometimes you have to reset the controller.
Correct.
Yeah. So if it doesn't work after you initialize it, just try to reset it. What I try to do a lot when I'm hooking up anything brand new, I'll show you guys what I do.
Service ping it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So basically, if you type in your Google search, so you guys can see it, search and just look for command prompt. Okay. So what you're going to do is basically go to and then type in ping, and then I'll do the address of my E3 192.168.
So it's ping space, and then there has to be a space there.
149 and blammo. So see how it's communicating, and then it says, okay, 4 packets sent, 4 packets received, and nothing lost. So this one, my E3 is communicating just brilliantly with my controller. So that's amazing. That's awesome. If you don't see, one of the first things I do when I'm doing any kind of network stuff is to look to see if you have any lights flickering back and forth. You should have the amber and the green light actually flickering. If you don't, automatically there's something wrong. So either your cable could be messed up, or the other option could be maybe you have your port shut down. That could be another reason why, or you don't have the port address right in your communication. So just remember that as well.
One thing in Danfoss, guys, if you can't get it to communicate either with Ethernet 0, Ethernet 1, if you're having problems with that, if you go to the info tab under the little hamburger, if you go to the info tab, so if you go info, you see how it's got the IP address? If that is blank, and you have the IP address set in the Ethernet settings, and it's not coming up after you reset the controller, you need to back up the set point file and clear out the database. Reset the controller, clear out the database, and then reload the database back in. And this has been happening all over the place. We probably have to do it on these store retrofits on a third of the controllers. Like you'll program the IP addresses or in the subnets, and it won't show up in the screen. So if it's not in the info screen, same thing with the unit address. If the unit address on this one's 0, if sometimes the unit address won't take, and you have to do the same thing, you have to clear out the database.
Yes, 100%. The other thing too, if you're having a hard time getting the pack controllers to communicate because you put in the address, make sure that you actually like click the little dial on there back and forth. A lot of times that will help as well. But then when you do that, you should reset the pack, because now that you've clicked it back and forth, it's the same thing with how the IO modules were. Like it could be setting mid, right, where it's not actually clicked and engaged. Turn that back and get that thing rolling that way.
Also, I was always told never to turn those without shutting the power off to the board, because it could break the comm module.
100%. The other thing I will tell you, because we are going to be talking about the pack controller here, because that's really what we're going to be talking about. A lot of people direct connect, and I'm going to show you how to direct connect. Let me get out of here real quick. So I have a cable.
Should be a USB-B cable,
Danfoss.
like a printer cable.
Correct. So let me unzoom us for a second so everyone can see this cable. That's not what I want to do. All right, USB-A, USB-B. So that's basically your printer cable, right? Something that I was told, I forget who told me this, when you are doing anything with a service tool, disconnect before you pull the plug. Essentially, disengages anything like going out to it, and from what I heard, it could potentially short out the actual pack controller. So be mindful of that.
My luck, it'd short out my laptop.
Yeah, probably. You have the best luck with it. So the reason why I'm hooking up to the 782 is because I want to make sure that when I'm first setting this up, if I'm hooking it up to the gateway, I got to make sure that it's set up for dynamic, and you guys will actually see that. Whenever you open up the service tool for the first time, I don't know if you heard my audio, but like it was clicking almost like when you're hooking up to Ultrasight, you had to tell it what port you have. Mine's locked in at this port, so it's always 5, so I don't have to worry about it. But I fought with a controller for how long, because I was trying to change all the settings, because there's two different service tools. There's a start service tool, and then there's configure service tool. Always start with the configure, because once you change it, it just won't work. Just start with configuration. Please take my advice on that. I fought with it for about 2 hours before I called you, and like, Dave, which one you use? And I'm like, the one that says start service tool. And he's like, no, you got to start with config. I'm like, motherfucker.
The other thing about the port, guys, so it matters what port you plug that into your laptop. So mine has 4 USB ports. If you plug that into a different USB port, it's going to show up as a different serial port.
Correct. So I'm going to show you guys that right now. So if you look here, and you're going to explain this, I'm just going to bring it up. So if you want to find out where that port is, you type in device, and then device manager will come up. Device manager is one of those things that I use all the time. So I have that as a shortcut on especially if you're doing a lot of energy management shit, I always have it up there. So right here on your ports, if USB serial, if you're not sure which port it is, a lot of times you can
unplug it and plug it in. Yeah, you can unplug it and plug it in, and it'll disappear and come back. Boop. Boop. Yep. See, it's gone.
5 went away.
This would also be
there. So I know that
this. Sorry, get a lag.
No, go ahead. Run.
This is also where you would change your baud rate on there if you needed to. Say you had a different baud rate in the serial. If you go to properties, you can change your baud rate and your parity and anything like that if you need to. Generally, a lot of times you don't have to change the stuff, but there is certain circumstances where you would need to change it.
Modbus. I think if you're connecting anything, Modbus. So yeah, so make sure that's all golden. So once I know it's COM port 5 now, so I'm going to close out device manager because I don't need it. So when you hit direct connect, now if I would just click on it, it's gonna bring up everything. Now I already have it pre-programmed, so I'm just gonna open it up. So change. Oh wait, no, I can't. Oh, I can't do it. All right. Oh, I'd have to open up a new one. What do you mean connection error?
Uh-oh.
What the Don't say that. Probably because I unplugged it while I had thing open. You know what I mean? See, COM port 5. COM port 5. Okay, now direct connect. Okay, see the little circle thing? If you don't see the circle thing, and you know you're probably going to end up COM filling out where it's not going to pick it up. So if you see the little dial thing and you start seeing that move, then you're golden. All right. I think we went through the pack controller once before, but so basically you want to come down over here to the wrench and you go to IP setup. So all the other versions aren't going to have the IP setup except for the 782A. Mine, I had to set up for dynamic because of the way I have it set up, right? So I have it through that gateway, so I had to put it dynamic. I haven't tried to FAFO with this yet to see if I could change it and make it a static. I tried, but I think it's not designed that way. If it's weird that you can change it, but I don't know. I haven't quite figured that part out yet. But for what we're going to be doing today, we're gonna run with dynamic. Okay. Once we know we're dynamic, then I can basically disconnect. I'm done. I just wanted to make sure it was dynamic, and you saw that port came up. Let me connect one more time. When it did connect, it had 10.0.0. I believe 4. Do it again. So we're going to go back down to wrench, IP setup. Yeah, 10.0.0.4. So the thing about this, now let me disconnect. So just to prove that I'm going to be going through the actual 880. Now that it's connected, I'm going to pull the cables out of the pack controller. So no dice there now. I'm going to close this out for right now. So I know that both these controllers are actually communicating because I showed you guys just previous. So now what you have to do is, if you have that gateway, you have to make sure the gateway address is straight. Every router typically has an IP address. Oh, that's not it. Has an IP address to basically get into it, so you can change some of the settings. Wow, why they do
most of these are like Linksys is all the same. You generally, most manufacturers are pretty commonly the same.
All right, let me make your 5.
Today's episode is sponsored by the RefraShield RDP Series differential pressure monitors from Westermeyer Industries, now available for transcritical CO2 systems in addition to other common pressures and refrigerants. When the filter element of your coalescing oil separator is contaminated, it can hurt your system's performance and efficiency. But how do you know when it's time to replace that filter? Wait too long to replace, and you could end up with a nasty filter blowout. But replacing too often can be a waste of time and money. The answer is installing a differential pressure monitor. The RDP Series differential pressure monitors, including the new transcritical CO2 model, are available now from Westermeyer Industries. To find out more information, email sales@westermeyerin.com. That's WESTERMEYERIN.com.
My shit isn't connected to the Ethernet port because of what I had to do, so I have to 10. Why is it doing that now? Oh, I remember. So in the directions for the Netgear one, I had to basically clear all my cache out, and I did that on Edge. So 10.0. There we go. Admin login. And so a lot of times, what the F over? It's going to make me look stupid now. I knew it.
It's because you're using Bing.
I usually don't touch Edge. I did this 60 times today.
Microsoft ruined Internet Explorer like they did everything else.
Oh, I know what I did. There we go. So every single one will also have, look what I did. So on the switch, I started putting all the passwords on all my shit. So
I have to do that. I have to do it on like controllers too, because I'm just like, what the? This one's supervisor, this one's service supervisor, this one's user supervisor. Why is everything got to be supervisor and be so long? It's refrigeration. Why do we need 8 character logins?
Wow, it's really being a piece of shit right now. I don't know what happened. Hold on, let me just make sure I'm logged in. Yeah, I'm logged in. Here, what the fuck? Good thing is I made directions, so I can just show you on the directions on what I did.
It's because you bought a cheap Netgear router.
No, I bought the one that Dave told me to buy. There we go. Oh, it's start, not admin. Okay, so now I'm physically logged into that router. Okay, when we go to internet, you're going to keep it on dynamic. It's going to generate its own little IP addresses. If everything is communicating with this, if you go to attached devices, you will see it designated My computer with an IP address, it designated so this one right here is the pack controller. I only know that because I showed you guys before on RMT. Basically, the RMT or the store view, when we were in store view, like this was the IP address that it designated on there. And then sometimes it takes a little bit to come to the party. It took 5 minutes for it to find the pack controller. The other thing I do want to say is make sure that both of the whatever you're hooking up to the unit has the right version of software. If you see mismatch on there, as far as on, not that either. If you see, here's the store view. If you see, like on the controllers, when we go to configuration, control, refrigeration. Oh no, it would have been right there. Shit. So right where the hell is it now? I've only been looking at this for hours, so my apologies. Configuration, network nodes, ComStat. Where it actually gives you network nodes. Oh, here we go. Constant configuration. So if you don't have the right version, I think when you go to look it up in another portion of this, it'll say mismatch on the actual software. Don't do anything any further until you match up the software. It's like when you're designated with the configuration, when you go to control and refrigeration, rack pack. So the software has to match this. And if it doesn't match, like you have a different version in there, it doesn't like it at all. So make sure you have that done before you do anything. Back to this, not that. Where did the thing go now? Ah, right there. So if you go back over to here, your device is now, the 880A will come up, as well as this. The only other thing that you have to do is you have to then go to advanced. In mine, it's not always going to be the same thing. In this Netgear one, it's going to be there, but not in every single one. So you're going to go to advanced setup on this particular router, and you go to port forwarding. All right. In mine, I had to do port forwarding, and I basically just typed in the address of the actual 880, which was 10.0.0.2. Okay. Then I added it to it. Then once I did that, it basically added that line to it, but all these external ports were all different numbers. So on mine particular one, I had to go to edit service. And then basically what I had to do is I had to change every single one of these ports to 10.41. That the port 1041 in the router that you're using has to be enabled. If it's not enabled, it will not pick it up no matter what the hell you're trying to. And trust me, 2.5 hours later of finger screwing with this, I then realized that was one of the only things I didn't change like elsewhere. I actually had everything right except for in the server, back in the service tool. But like I said, on the controller you're trying to connect to, you're basically going to put that address in and adjust that port accordingly over to the 1041. I think all these were like 21, 24. They were just all odd numbers. At that point, we're essentially done with this. So then all after that, usually you just hit apply. I didn't make any changes, so I'm not going to mess around with it because I know it's working. And you can exit out of that at that point. You don't have to mess around with it anymore. I'm going to keep it up for right now. Then the next thing I'm going to do is not that too much Danfoss stuff up. There we go. Yeah, so they are communicating, and that the pack controller isn't going to communicate unless you have all those ports open on there. So just be mindful of that. Now we're ready to actually go into Smart Tool or Service Tool. I don't know why I keep calling it Smart Tool. Is there another Smart Tool that I don't know what I'm talking about?
Probably.
No? All right.
Holy fuck, that's the cleanest I've ever seen your computer screen.
I might have cleaned it before for the podcast. So anyway, I named it Gateway Pack, and I'm going to show you everything that I changed. So what I actually had to change on this, because what I was doing was I put the 1041 there, but I kept putting the address of the actual controller that it generated. That's not the case.
11.
No, the 10.0.0.2. I kept putting that address in because I was like, oh, that's the address. No, we're trying to tunnel in through this. And then once we get into there, it will forward what I'm trying to go to over to that pack controller. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we type in that port 1041. None of this stuff, the site name, the site location, and the site type, that doesn't give two shits anything. You can name it whatever the hell you want. The only really important stuff that you want to mess around with, the user, the destination name, that's going to be your username in Danfoss. So mine's user, and my passcode is blah, 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 blah. And then basically you put that in there. You have to make sure your TCP/IP. Yoder had said either on or off. Sometimes it works with off and sometimes it works with on.
It's 50-50.
It's 50-50. And he couldn't tell me like why. He's like, I'll get back to you on that. But putting the IP address in there and then putting your 1041 in there. So now that's all set. I can hit OK. And now that I'm highlighted there, I will hit connect. And you can, oh, it disappeared for a second. Oh, I got the little spinny, so we're on the good. So this is what it'll look like. Yes, it will show you that I am connected essentially to the SMA50, but it will also show you, I can't really do anything with this because normally you would click here to get into the pack, but you can see that my pack controller, my 772, that's 0001, that's the one that's speaking on echelon because I said you can do from 1 to 11 or whatever, and then on the one that's the pack controller that's actually has the 782 A or B, that one you can't have 0 through 10. You have to have it 11 or more. So yeah, so we're golden here. So now if I click on, let's just go to 772, and now it's going to bring me directly to the what? Weight indicator stop. What? Oh, that was weird. Didn't see that happen.
Just Danfoss doing Danfoss things.
Danfoss being Danfoss. So this is the 772, right? So if I go back to the wrench where I showed you guys the IP, look, no IP. Because that one does not have, it doesn't have an IP. I think it has the IO extension. So what's nice about Danfoss is your control cabinet might only be like this long, right? But if you got a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be running off that pack, you can basically take another Ethernet cable and hook it from that pack controller that's this long and hook it to another one down. It doesn't have to be connected all in one chain anymore. So I could have the pack controller that has an ESR board, and a whole bunch more inputs, outputs. And then if it runs the length of what I'm doing, you could basically run another, run underneath it and the addresses will still continue, which is really nice. So yeah. So then once I'm done here, I can hit disconnect. And go back into here, connect. Now I can go to the 782, the one that actually has the gateway connection or whatever. Once again, it's initializing. And as you can see, I don't have the hardwire connected to it. So you can see that I'm actually physically going through the gateway. I'm already connected to my controller. So now that I'm connected to the controller, it's basically going through my controller over to the gateway and then connecting to this stuff. And now why is this one being a piece of shit? Doing something. There it goes.
50-50.
So now if I go, you're an ass. So now if I go back to the wrench, this one does actually have the IP set up, and we're back having that weird IP address that it generally made up. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. We talked about this before. The only thing really is not awesome about Danfoss, like when you're tuning it, you have to basically shut the controller down. So if you're going here and I don't know, let's just say you want to start adjusting stuff, a lot of times what you have to do is basically shut down or unlock so you have lock and unlock. So right now the main switch is off, so I can make any changes I want. But if I put this in on and I go over to yonder, and let's just say I want to change the set point over here, I basically have to see if it'll let me do it. 20. Oh, see, that'd let me do. That's weird.
You stopped it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Let's see if I can change. 650. Oh, let's see if it stops it automatically. Unlock. Now switch is still on. It's weird. Probably because it already has alarm, so it's shut down already. But normally, yeah, you basically have to turn this thing off. Unlock. Let's see if I do this again. On. And ammo system setup. That's not what I wanted to go. You know what? I hate this says home. You know how many times I've tried to press that? So home button basically makes you want to like disconnect. So don't do that.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
No, like you think it would take you to the main menu or whatever. So
Danish.
Yeah. So let's see. Blah 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 blah. Oh, we got lots of alarms. I don't have any inputs connected to it. The suction group. Blah blah blah. 20. Let's do 18. Fuck it. 18. See, that's weird that it's letting me change. Usually it doesn't. It yells at me, but it's probably because it's shut down right now because it's an alarm. You know what I mean? Control. This is one of the ones. Look, so I'm trying to change this right here. Control and injection. So the controller is locked. You want to unlock it, please. Okay, will be set to off. Yeah. So there's some settings apparently you can change. Usually, like the tuning shift for the HPV and the BGV, it'll tell you to go pound sand.
Is this stuff you want to do live?
Yeah. What this is, so control of injection. So you can do network, which I'm not really a fan of. I usually like doing network and DO. So you have something there to basically tell the other controllers, the case controllers, to come on by using essentially a DI. I think we talked. See, I want to keep hitting that button to whatever. So that's not what I want to do. Right here, this is where you would change your logging setup. There's tons of shit you can log on the pack controller. The problem is you have to move it on over, and every single look. So this is just for a compressor LT4. So look at all the stuff that you can actually add right here, right? Add. So you have to add everything individual, and then you can essentially you can graph it.
Most of the logging has not been set up by the OEMs for the most part.
Typically not, unfortunately, because there's always other stuff that's always changed, right? And then once you do that, you can go to the log curves or whatever and add whatever here. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you guys, and Kevin yelled at me and said this is obsolete, but this is still really good to know, especially if you have some older controllers in your area where you're trying to see what the program's doing, right? So I'm going to disconnect out of this guy, disconnect. Blah blah blah. Done. All right, done with that. All right, so if you have so the files for the 880s, what is that? Is that BCK? Kevin?
For the 880s?
Yeah, it's BCK. Or DPK? Is it
DPK?
DPK. And this is S55, right? So this is a file for the 850. So when you do this, you have to make sure you have the right firmware version already lined up here for a simulator. They used Adobe in order to actually make this thing work. So it used to work by its lonesome, but they stopped making this Adobe Flash player. So it no longer works. Typically, you have to choose a directory or choose a folder. I know there's stuff in here, so I'm just going to select this one. I'm going to select this, and then you have to select the adjacent firmware version. So this is G08.95, same thing here. I'm going to hit launch, select the database, and that's the one that's going to come up because I already selected it, and I hit OK. Now watch what happens. I hit launch. There it goes. It's doing something. Lame. So you see what happened? It basically gave me a HTTP localhost, blah, 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 blah. So they don't make this Adobe Flash player anymore, and I can't even find an older version of the software.
No, it's wiped off the internet. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere. So what you do is you copy this address here, okay? Keep RMT running, and then what you do is you open up Store View. You take that address that I just copied, throw it in that bad boy, and hit connect. Should work. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I can actually adjust anything in the program without having to do it there. Or someone can send you the program and be like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. If you don't have a live connect, right? Because this is one of the, besides Kevin going to belittle me for always asking for the refrigeration schedule and the PNID, usually the program is something else that I usually require if someone needs any help with anything. But with this then, Now I can go through and actually look at some of the stuff. Now the evaporators, they're basically case controllers, so they're not configured. That's the only reason why. But I can look through most of the other stuff, most of the other program throughout here, and take a look at different things throughout. But this is very useful if, like I said, you're trying to verify something with somebody as far as the programming and stuff, and it just makes it easier. And I don't know, I think I did kill a man in order to get like the directions on how to do this, but I've been doing it a lot more frequently. I have an 850. The only thing I will tell you, you cannot do any of the 880 stuff remotely. You have to have a controller. So you can't just, you can't do the same thing that I just did here. Actually, I think I tried for like 2 hours the one night, and finally I called someone and they're like, yeah, that's a different file. You can't do it on there. I'm like, why not?
Yeah, it's super annoying.
So,
yeah, that's Danfoss. If you're going from an 850 to an 880, though, it's super simple. All you got to do is take the S55 file, or if you're going from 255, convert it on an 850 or an 800, and then you take that file after you back it up again and drop it in an 880A, and it'll convert it to that.
What's the success rate on that guy?
To be honest, dude, Danfoss has got a pretty good success rate. Like 99%.
As long as you don't mess
fail
really
like 17 times when you're doing the 255 to that one gets a little dicey. But the thing is, if you're going from a 255 to an 880A, you need an 800 in the middle. So you got to go from a 255, upgrade the firmware to the highest one, and AK65, and then once you get that S55 file, you dump it in the 800. And then it upgrades it. And then you take it out of the 800, and then you dump it in the 880A. It's a nightmare, but like I have a 800 and I have a 880, so like I have two to convert them. So that's what we generally do. But a lot of times I hand program them just for the fact that the addresses are always fucked up, and the address is the naming.
Oh,
because this is the biggest thing that irritates the shit out of me with Danfoss is you cannot change the order of things. It's not alphanumeric. Like you can't, like if somebody adds a circuit, like say if circuit 3 wasn't there and they had circuit 3 back in, now it's at the bottom of the list.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. Like it must be working with all the South Africans, but like I've been doing a lot of Danfoss stuff, a lot.
Yeah, Danfoss has a stranglehold in the rest of the globe.
Yeah.
We're spoiled with Copeland stuff.
So I've been digging into it. So like I did all my training last year on demystifying controls, and I basically made it very E3 concentric, E3 and E2 concentric. And then so this year I'm going to do the same thing, but not the same thing. I'm basically going to do it all in Danfoss controls because there's a couple more options within the pack controller that like how it handles certain alarms, right? So if you have a high vessel pressure, it'll try to open up the BGV, it'll try to close down the HPV, but there's an option there that you can actually do the compressor curtailment where it'll actually start throttling down your compressors. And that, as long as certain other things are set up right, it works fantastically because it's basically trying to level out the system. Let's see if it can just keep it running. But a lot of things aren't. Now they do. Yeah, I forget what it's called. But if it's not employed with the MOP alarm, it's going to cause a bad time if you're not shutting off some of the other circuits. And that's one of the biggest problems. And like people need to understand, if I am going to use this where I do the compressor curtailment, I am going to shut off some suction. So what's going to happen? If I start drawing back the VFD, the pressure is going to go up. And if I don't have any way to mitigate that high pressure, if I'm shutting off compressors, I'm going to have a blow off. And that's what I'm going to be teaching next go around at some of these NASRC events.
Danfoss is extremely easy. Like it's canned. Like that's the only thing I really like about Danfoss is it's extremely easy to program. It's all menu driven, so you can't. It's harder to screw up Danfoss because it's all menu driven. You can still you can fuck up anything.
Yeah, you can.
But it's all menu driven. But learning like the quirks of the 880A has been the biggest thing. Like the Ethernet issues and the file updates. It makes me real nervous updating files on a CO2 store.
Yeah. Oh God, I didn't think we were going to talk that long about that. That was
It was a lot. And then I'm learning, and then I've been up since 1 a.m. I'm my brain's fried.
I went to bed. I think so. I looked at the time when finally I was ready to throw my computer across the way after having to reset the router twice, and I was like, "It's 1:30, and I have a meeting at 7 a.m. So I better get a couple minutes of shut eye."
I had to go to that god awful Atlanta airport.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's always rough. I appreciate it, Brett. That was my intro to that. So
cool.
All right, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.